So I've got some water on here. I'm bringing it to a boil, and then I am just cutting the core and then making a little X on the bottom of these Roma tomatoes. I have about 17 of them. Some are little, some are big. This is going to make it easier for them to peel. We're not really wanting to cook them to mush. We're just going to put them in the boiling water for about 5 minutes and then move them over to a cold water bath for another 5 minutes. These are all, I didn't have to go to the farmer's market. It cooled off enough that I finally got my Roma tomatoes starting to turn red, and these are all just from the last couple of days. I'm gonna keep coring these and putting the crosses in the bottom, and we'll get back here with you on the other side. I don't know if you can see, but the water is boiling, and I'm taking all these tomatoes that I took the core out, and then I made an X in the bottom. Just gonna start dropping them in here. It's gonna cool the water down to where it's not boiling anymore, but that's all right. It'll still do what it's gonna do. And we're gonna let these boil for about 5 minutes, and then we'll get back on the other side. Got my bowl of ice water, and these have been boiling about 5 minutes, and you can already see some of the skins coming off. We don't want them boiling to mush. We just wanted to get it to where the skins will peel easily. So I'm going to put it in this ice water and let it set for about 5 minutes to stop the cooking process. And then we'll go on to the next step. So these have been setting in the water for about 5 minutes, and I just want you to see how easy it is to peel that right off. This is the same process I would use if I was making the tomatoes for tomato sauce, or even chunky tomatoes for chili or something. So I'm going to continue peeling these, and I'll get right back with you. So my bell peppers, I only get like 1 or 2, so I don't have a lot. So I did go to Aldi's and pick up some red and yellow and orange bell peppers. A lot of people say bell peppers don't go in salsa, but it's my salsa. It's going to have bell peppers in it. And from my garden, I've got a poblano pepper that I'm going to use. I'm going to use about 4, 5 red chilies. Use 2 serrano peppers and 4 jalapenos. I'm going to wash these off. And I'm just going to rough chop everything. I'm not going to worry too much about what it looks like, because everything's going to get hit with the immersion blender afterwards. Just rough chop everything. And again, I'm not worrying about how big it is. Somebody commented about me sniffling, and I'm sorry. Whenever I work with onions, peppers, and any spices, my nose runs every time. I don't know why. To check that out. As for the tomatoes, just chop chop them up, big chunks. Doesn't have to be small. Everything's gonna get blended. I'll keep saying that over and over. So anyway, I'm gonna finish chopping up these tomatoes, the last onion and bell pepper and the hot peppers, and I'll get back with you on the other side. So the only other thing I'm gonna put in here, and not everybody likes it, is gonna be some cilantro. And if you don't like it, you don't have to put it in there. Just giving this a rough chop, not mincing it up. Just helps later with the immersion blender. If you got those big sticks, they'll the blender can tend to stop turning because it gets tangled up in the thing. Alright, so that's all we got going on right at the moment. I'm going to transfer all this over to the stove and get it started cooking. All we're going to be doing is right now for maybe 15-20 minutes is we're going to cook it just to get it to soften everything up, like the peppers and onions and things. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I transferred everything over here to the pan, just everything rough chopped. I did remove some of the seeds and veins because I don't want it so hot that I can't eat it. I didn't get 100% of all of it out of there. You do want some heat, and the peppers will have some of their own heat. And what I'm going to do is just cook this for about 15-20 minutes, let the vegetables get softened up, and then we'll come back and see what we do next. So this has been simmering for about 15 minutes, and as you can see, there's a lot of liquid in here. What I'm going to do is hit this with the immersion blender, but first I'm going to add just a little bit of Southwest seasoning. Not a ton. And some salt. About a teaspoon of salt, probably. So I'm going to blend this up, and I'm going to shut the video off just so you don't have to listen to my blender. So if you can see, this is pretty much like what you would get at a restaurant. Pretty fine ground. Kind of look around, see if you can see any lumps or big chunks of anything. That's what I was looking for. So the only thing else I'm going to add to this is some lime juice. One reason is I like the taste of, and I'm using lime juice from the bottle just because it would take a lot of limes to get a cup of lime juice. I'm using it for the taste and the acidity into the salsa. You could use, I've made it with apple cider vinegar and it tastes delicious. So this one I'm just trying a little different because I like lime with my stuff that I put salsa on. So we're gonna do the lime juice. So this has got a long ways to go. This has got to cook down, and I'm gonna let it go ahead and cook for about, it'll be over an hour probably when we come back. So we'll see you on the other side. So I have the jars. I brought the water up to boil with the jars in it. So that way it kind of sterilizes the jars. Balls says that if you're gonna cook your ingredients for your cans for more than 15 to 20 minutes that you don't need to sterilize them. But also this serves another purpose, is that way the jars don't break when you put the hot liquid in them, you know, because putting hot liquid in a cold jar, it could bust. So what we're going to do now is fill up the jars. I'm going to empty the water out. I did 6 jars. I'm not quite sure how much salsa I'm going to get out of my salsa. How many jars I'm going to fill with that salsa, but got 6 to be safe. You want enough water in here to cover the jars with about an inch of water on top of them. And the salsa has really reduced. It's reduced about 2 inches in the pan, so pretty sure it's where I want it to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these jars up to where there's, I don't know if you can see the jar. Yeah. I'm going to fill these jars up to where there's a 1/2 inch left in the jar. Putting this in because I want to make sure there's plenty of water in there. Make sure that it was really hot. Bring it back up to a boil. All of this is really hot, so you're going to want to be careful. Burn yourself. I forgot, so this is going on top instead of the bottom, but I'm going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid in here. I'll put it down in there with the, normally I would put it down in the bottom of the jar, and I totally spaced it off, and I don't want to do that. This just helps with the acidity level. It gives it a little more acid. So this last one, I'm putting it in before I put the salsa in. It doesn't change the flavor or anything. It just gives it a little more acid. Sorry about that. And you have to have enough acid for the canning process. Get it all out of there. So you get one of these little sticks with most canning kits, and you want a 1/2 inch of headspace up here. So you're going to put it on there and see if it reaches that. And because I got that citric acid, I'm going to go ahead and stir that down in there. I don't think I've got quite a 1/2 inch on any of them, so I'm going to just use this spoon. And just, I'm going to move some from this jar, and this jar I'm just going to stick in the fridge when we're done to eat. It'll last in the fridge for quite a while. So yeah, I needed a little more. You just want that 1/2 inch there. And then the other end is to go in and you just put it around the sides and stir it, and you get the bubbles out. So I got 4 full pints out of those 17 tomatoes. Then I'm just going around to get the bubbles out. Now you want your jar rim to be completely free of any sauce at all. You don't want any. So run a paper towel around it until you do not see any red. And then one last thing I will show you is that the ball also says you don't have to, as long as they're clean new lids, you don't have to sterilize them, but I am going to dip them in the boiling water just long enough to activate the seal, and also it sterilizes it even though they say you don't have to. But just a couple of seconds, doesn't take very long. Put it on there, take your ring, put your ring on. Last one. All right, and then I'm going to take these 4 jars, pick them up with the handy jar picker-upper. I'm going to set them down in the water. And like I said, you want about 1 inch of water over the top of them when you water bath can. Set them down in there, nothing busted. That's amazing. Put the lid on it. And then these are going to cook for 20 minutes is how long I'm going to let them sit in there in the boiling water, and they'll be ready to come out. So we'll see what it looks like on the other side. These have been cooking for 20 minutes in the boiling water. I'm just going to take them, shake the water off the top, set them down over here on the paper towel. I'm leaving the seal off of that other one because I'm going to put it in the fridge and I want it to cool down all the way before I put the lid on it. So these will sit here and they'll start to cool off, and once they cool off, you'll hear them start to pop a little bit. Can you hear that? So far 2 of them have popped. That is the most exciting thing when you hear it pop. This is only my 2nd time canning, and I got so excited last week when I did the same thing. And then we just have one last thing to do, and that's going to be when they all pop, and the jar is completely cool. I'm going to take the ring off and try to lift it up by the lid without the ring on it to make sure it's sealed, and then I'm going to store it without the ring on it, because if it has the ring on it, it can get a false seal and it can come undone, and then you wouldn't know it. It would get air in it, get botulism or whatever happens, and it would not be good. So we'll see what happens and make sure all 4 of these sealed right now, and then I'm going to put the date and what is in it on top. And that is how I make restaurant style salsa. You can see all those peppers and tomatoes and all the goodies in there. I hope you guys will give this a try. I hope you'll watch Jennifer's video and see how you make butter. It looks super easy and it looks like it's going to be really yummy, and I'm going to try it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. That really helps us out. And again, once we try this salsa later, I might take a bite and see what it tastes like. But I know from what I made last week, it was really good. So God bless you guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.